Just a heads up, I don't want another video lasting more than half an hour due to my slow reading, especially when there's not a whole lot to address, so if you want to stop and read the post that I show before continuing, feel free to do so. You know, I am so tempted to make another rant video about Jay Frieden, but I'm not because I saw that coming. Instead, I'm going to dissect the logic of some of his apparent die-hard fanboys, especially one who first responded to me before Carrie blocked me. He apparently was commenting on the OG website, so let's take a look at that and dissect some of the arguments that we see, shall we? Now, I don't know what kind of podcast you were listening to, but there were only a couple of points Carrie made in that podcast that I actually agreed with. Other than that, he did nothing but cry foul and hardly let Eric talk at all. Also, you're one to talk about not knowing anything and harassing people, since I get the feeling you don't even know the other side of the argument. Yeah, real smart there. Now, this was just laughable, and I'm just going to show you Eric's response to that because it's exactly what I'd say. Next. Now, first of all, let me say that gathering evidence by screenshotting comments and such is perfectly fine on the internet to a degree if you want to make an argument. There is nothing wrong with that. However, there is something wrong when your hero backs up his shit and then accuses others of gathering evidence to back up their shit and calls foul and says they need to leave him alone and stop stealing his content. But let me guess, you didn't throw that into the equation when you decided to white knight him, now did you? I didn't think so. Now, this was from a guy on the OG forums named Awesome. I'm sure that is a fake account, or a puppet account, so to speak. But seeing that, I'm not saying Salieri was not angry, because from what I heard, he was getting very annoyed and frustrated, as a lot of people would, having to deal with an immature brat like Carrie. But seeing that, and hearing Jay Frieden yell as much as he did in that podcast, that's pretty amusing. Now, with all of that said, let's get one final logical dissection of our friend Billy's comment that he left for me when he decided to white knight Mr. Martel. You know, I shouldn't even need to answer each of your questions directly, but just to be fair and further dissect your argument and expose you for the white knight fanboy you are, I'll oblige. Now, why did I make my videos and why am I starting shit? Because I can make videos exposing people, and because I did my research on both sides of the argument and chose the more logical side, and seeing how immature and unreasonable Carrie is acting, I want YouTube to see that and take action accordingly. In terms of starting shit, you can just ask who did a commentary on Rue's 16-bit gems, and who insinuated that Rue was being a racist. Then you'll find out who started what. Now, why did I write what I did? Well, seeing as he blocked me on YouTube, I didn't have many other ways of contacting him. I figured I can contact him on Facebook and try talking some sense into him, and therefore handle things more maturely. But seeing as you jumped and tried fighting his battles instead of letting him respond for himself, you have only yourself to blame for my responding in this manner. Now, why is he ridiculed? Simple. Because he fucked up royally and conducted illegal and unreasonable actions, as well as making out-of-bounds accusations, aka slander. By the way, yes, illegal. Perjury is technically a crime, albeit one that is hardly enforced. It's basically like jaywalking on a street. And he wouldn't have so much negative attention if he just apologized for it, or even something as simple yet unbelievable as a video or post saying that he was trolling. Then a lot of this could have been avoided, and a lot of people would just let the issue drop. But speaking of dropping things and leaving things alone, Asa made his video encouraging people to drop the issue, which in response a lot of people were willing to follow, until Carrie decided to take down Eric's Blip TV channel virtually the same way he took down his YouTube channel. That just goes to show that your hero, Carrie, is the one that truly refuses to let go of things when people expose him and the skeletons in his closet. So in closing, you need to learn your shit before deciding to put your input in. Maybe if you knew both sides of the story and acted accordingly, you wouldn't be making yourself look like the typical white knighting fanboy with no logic, no reason, and no balls. So I hope you've learned your lesson.